Right, so today we got absolutely filleted in the face. I guess it's obvious now that it's happened. And if you think about it, there were a few signs, such as the miners underperforming even when the DXY is down. But again, it's a bit too late since it's already happened, but maybe it's the beginning of several days, or maybe it's going to be a very shallow dip. Not to cover all angles, we're going to look at what the charts suggest. I still think medium long term we go higher. So I'll say that straight away. But let's see what's possible short term. First of all, DXY. Yeah, again, it was a day where the DXY wasn't exactly up much. So yesterday got crushed and we still went down in terms of the miners. Today DXY bounced, but it was a quite a weak bounce. And actually, I'm going to leave this as it is. I still think we're going to, because of yesterday's close being so ugly, I think the bounce is kind of over. I think we're going to go lower, even though I think yields should go higher medium to long term. So it's quite strange to think that the yields will go higher, but the DXY looks weak. But yields look weak too, so it's a bit strange. Maybe I'm wrong about yields going higher. The charts suggest weak bounce and down we go. So DXY still looks weak to me. So I'll leave this as it is, although it probably won't go down in such a straight line or as fast as indicated. The yields, just like the DXY, so now they're right at the bottom. So yesterday's line here, that's exactly where we bounced. So that's the third year. They all should be pretty similar. Yes, they are. So again, we're hitting the last support before, well, in this case, the 10-year probably down here, 4.2. I think you can see where it's going. The 5-year would be 4.2 also. 2 years outperforming a little bit, but pretty much come all the way back down. It'll probably bounce a little bit, right? So I'd expect another sideways day, probably in yields. Small bounce. The 1 year is not really relevant. Yeah, so I would say yields could come down a little bit more. The 5-year, maybe just sideways. 10 years, sideways, like small bounce, a bit like what the DXY did today. I feel like yields are 1 day behind the DXY, but ultimately small bounce and lower. I really thought we would have gone higher actually, especially on the 2-year. I was saying, watch out, it's going to go higher. That took me by surprise, but that's what the news does. And there you go. You've just got to adapt. So yields low, but to be honest, yields lower, dollar yet lower should normally and traditionally would mean gold and silver up. And there you go. You've had gold and silver down. Let's check out gold and silver straight away. First of all, kind of a sideways, not a sideways day. You know, it was a big down day, but overall, the last couple of days we've just sort of been dragging along the bottom being 2320, which is still pretty damn high up. It's not like we've even flushed 2300 yet, let alone come down to 2280. So we all know what happened to the miners today, crushed 4 to 5%. All that on a day where gold just sort of ended up being where it started yesterday. So miners are seriously underperforming. Silver did underperform gold, went down to new lows. So we had the bounce here at 2980/30 yesterday. That was nice, but today big drop. I don't really see much support where it closed. I think there is support at 29. I guess the reason it hit there is because of the low down here, but it probably just hit that low out of just randomness. But I see 29 and 28. I think I'm going to keep these circles where they are. I mean, I can delete these circles because they were just for yesterday. But yeah, that's pretty much where I think it could go. But things move quickly. Huh? Look at this big candle. So tomorrow I expect a bit of a sideways day, maybe even a small bounce. But honestly, gold and silver just been acting so independent of the dollar and yields that we should almost ignore what we think might happen to them. I mean, again, look, the last 2 days, dollar and yields down quite a lot. Gold and silver have not exactly been screaming up. So it's just gold and silver doing their own thing. And I think what they're doing is just cooling off a little bit. You know, we've put in a bit of a medium, short-term top, not medium. And this could just be another higher low that we're going to create. So support, let's just stick with gold actually. If this could actually hold, by the way, you know, I feel like that's not part of my scenario, but this descending is now obsolete. This 2320 is still not breached. You could even call it 2315. You know, we still haven't closed below these sort of lows of day. So this is still dragging sideways. Let me get rid of this. So now we've got two nice, you know, high The high, let's call it 23.60-ish. The low 23.15, so about $50 either way. And below that, yeah, 22.80. And if we flush that, then 2200, and below that 2150. I don't see us going below that because this should be extremely strong support if we even get there. Silver, well, we closed below 30, so that's a big thing. But again, I feel like silver will follow gold. So if gold finds a bit of a bottom and starts to curl somewhere, I think silver will too. But who knows? Maybe silver leads the way down. So far, it's doing it, just as it kind of led the way up more recently. So, you got silver underperforming gold, and you got the miners underperforming the metals. That's, you know, double negative, just as it was the opposite a few weeks ago, going up, being a double positive. So let's be consistent. That is bearish for now, but this is an opportunity to add to the dip because we are in an absolute new bull market. Let's not forget it, gold and silver. So as long as you have some sidelines, you can see this as an opportunity. And that's why you never want to be all in, because then you just can't do anything about it. And this could be the beginning of a big drop. Let's start to look at the actual miners. This is the ascending I was looking at. And then it was so tight. And then bam, you open gap down below it. And look at that, it hit perfectly. Actually, I think I may have just drawn these lines. I did draw these lines just before putting on the video while I was looking at my portfolio and just looking at this. So I'm not sure if I had these lines before, but I think this is pretty accurate because, well, first of all, because it's what I see, but also there's some similarity across the other minor ETFs. So this is a level. We've obviously lost the ascending, touches this perfectly. 43, big round number. It was resistance here, and it's also where we touched. Next level, honestly, I don't see much going lower. I do see one other area. I'm just going to show it here. Now, this might not be much, but do you see this? This is really almost grasping for straws here, but that little high there, that little low there, just feel like that might be a little zone, but I don't want to be too strict. I just prefer to leave things when I'm not too sure. But I think this is extremely strong support. Huge number 240 on GDXJ, but that's a long way down. I don't see us going down there. That's 8%. That will be gold going down to like 2150 or something. Let's look at SILJ. That was down the most for obvious reasons. That's the silver one. The silver underperformed everything. Likewise, big gap down, opening here. Why is this a level? Oh yeah, this here. Opening here, possible level, and just moves down to this. This is actually quite not an obvious, but more obvious. You just ignore this candle here, which is like a bit of a fake, but what it was, a fake breakout. Look at that. It just opens up here, gap up, and then that was pretty much the high of day, give or take, and then just closes there. So that's kind of a candle that you can ignore. Otherwise, you've got a high here, support there. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe it's a level, maybe not. But anyway, big gap down, down 5%. Yeah, I do think that's a level. Resistance, support. So let's see. Looks quite similar to GDXJ, if you think about it. Let's look at, and again, this one here, next level is far away, very far away. This one, 9%. You could even say 10%. So yeah, you could even say 10%. I don't see us going down here, but again, I don't really want to guess. There is that one little area. This is quite similar again. It might even be the same day, these two candles, which makes me want to draw this line. I'm going to leave it out because I'm not completely sure. I prefer it to be sort of freehand. All right, GDX. I think this one's a little bit different. But same, look at that. It was just holding the ascending. And I remember what I told you, the ascending is the weakest trend line. The descending is the best one to break out of. And likewise, the ascending is the best one to break down from. So I was aware of it. And yesterday, what precautionary measures did I take? Almost nothing. I trimmed a little bit of CDE because I was too heavy and I feared this move. But I obviously didn't believe that this move would be so strong so quickly. Otherwise, I would have trimmed more. But I've got a long-term outlook too. I'm not willing, and it's not part of my strategy to sell too much. And I do have some sidelines, quite a decent amount on the sidelines, although not the most amount historically speaking, but enough to buy, some decent dips. But today I nibbled only, and I'll get to what I nibbled into. I'll just finish this GDX. So this one, 5 or 6%, not too much. So another day like today, and you're pretty much hitting this support, which to me should be a big buy zone. Like this area here, GDX, and it's the same for the others, is a big, buy zone. This is like silver at 26, huge resistance long term, should be a buy. GDXJ, let's look at it, same thing, right? This 40, also a big number. SILJ, same thing for here, this 1050, huge buy zone. So down here, I'm sorry, I don't care, even if you're bearish, you buy that bounce, and it should bounce at least there. And then you can start, even if you're bearish, you can start saying, okay, maybe we've got a head and shoulders after the bounce, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll, whatever will go higher. But I think we're going to create a right shoulder. I don't know if we're going to go this low, but if we do start to head down towards here, you buy. Obviously, you look at gold and silver and what else is happening elsewhere, but there will be a bounce, and that bounce should be violent because we're in a bull market. So you can definitely bet on the bounce. I just will trim probably what I buy here. I'll probably trim here, but whatever I'm buying now, or maybe I'll only sell half. I'll only sell half here of what I buy here because I still think long term we go up. So in the end, whatever I buy today, even those nibbles, and tomorrow, whenever we get down here, I'll probably hold half of that for the new highs because I still see us going much higher. All right, let's look at the actual portfolio where the obliteration took place. Newmont, touch this little, there you go, perfect. So opened, you can see this little, it's nice that I left the lines in. So this was the low from here. It opened there, which is nice, sort of level confirmation. It hits this zone here. You can see this before the gap fill and bounced quite a lot. So that's, down 3%. That's okay. Actually, from Newmont, better than some other ones. So let's see what happens. Obviously, we know what the GDX charts and all look like. If we go a level lower, obviously the gap will fill, even below 39. So gap fill is what's next if the move accelerates to the downside. If it moves back up, then where we came from, 42 will be resistance. But if it goes to 42, that's wonderful. It's like nothing happens. So that's quite strong, actually, Newmont. Barrick Gold. Okay, it's time to clean this one up. So this one didn't really matter. It was just a big drop, actually. 5.5%. Quite a big drop for Barrick, given that it hasn't really rallied much. This is obsolete, whether it actually counted or not. I'm going to clean up all the charts later. The ascending is also somewhat obsolete. It should act as resistance if we retest it. But this one is quite good. This line here didn't touch it, but I mean, it's like 20 cents or something off it. So it's pretty good enough. Didn't buy any Barrick. I think it's because I'm already heavy in it. That's why I didn't buy any. The seniors, I'm very heavy in the top 4 or 5, especially the top 4. But that's one that I actually want to add more to. I feel like Barrick is undervalued more than the others. And did come down quite a lot. So maybe tomorrow I nibble Barrick, especially if I see a reversal coming. But yeah, next support zone is 1620 and then 1550. I can't imagine us going down to the 15 zone Barrick, even though this is just the first day of the drop, so it could actually happen. That would be quite a buy. So let's see what happens there. Right, next one, Agnico Eagle. Ooh. This is now relevant. Open here, big move down, especially for Agnico Eagle. This one I said in the last video, I can't really identify a level of support that obvious. So it would be simply looking at GDX and analyzing gold and silver to judge when the curl comes in on this one. But closing a low of day, quite an ugly day for Agnico Eagle. Nothing else to say there. So just watch GDX and gold. Keep it simple. Clear support, otherwise it's 60, huge numbers and huge and obvious support zone. But between where we are now and to 60, that's 7%. It take quite a, like 1 or 2 or 3 big down days to get there, I would say. But that's a huge buy zone for Nico Eagle. Pan American Silver. Right. So we didn't care about 20. Sorry, we did care about 20. We didn't take out 20 yet. I thought 20, I thought this might be a zone because of this and that. Nope, wrong, wasn't a zone. Delete that. Good. A nice excuse to clear up the chart. I'm just wondering, you know what? well, I don't know if 20, I know 20 is a big round number, but I don't see it as, well, it could be resistant. It's just this candle here ruins it. That was that fake out that several of them had. 20 could be actually, it could be, because it was kind of resistance there, bit of support there, and also resistance there, and it's a round number. So just on 20, could say just under 20, something like that. Don't like it ruins the chart. Okay, it doesn't matter if it ruins the chart. This is about buying back at the right place. So first zone is just going to be here, just under 20. Next will be the sort of the highs we've had during this area. 1950, that's probably the $20 flush, and then it bounced back. And otherwise, we have the low here, this 1800. I can't believe I'm talking about such, I say low numbers, but 17 was something I wanted to dream to get to. But you can imagine, you take out 20, that's already some support there. It goes to 1950. I definitely expect to bounce there, at least back above 20, but who knows? But then you've also got this ascending and probably a lot of support here because of everything here. So I think $19 is a buy. I don't care what happens. In silver, I think $19, you know, you could dip into the 18s, but it's just a lot of strength down here. You can see why. So Pan America down 7%. I mean, it went up huge, so it makes sense, but it's a big drop. It's a big drop. But one opportunity, because zoom out, remember where you are. This is a senior beast, one of the best of the best for silver, you know, and whether it's 22.50 or 18, if it ends up at 40, not much difference, right? Because I think this is the kind of stock that should go to, and this isn't even all-time highs, by the way, you know, but let's just talk about 40. That's 70% from the 22 zone. Okay, 100% from where it would be otherwise, but that's the way it works. But still, you know, huge moves, basically 100% move up from the lows that I think it might be able to put in on this drop. But I'm quite heavy in Pan America even now after the drop, so I'm not, it's not something on my radar. I didn't buy any of these. SSRM, yeah, this one looked the week before, right? Look at that close. Already underperformed, plus the fact that it's a bit of a special stock because of its landslide issue. You just don't need to be in this. I am in this one for the big move, but I trimmed this one already. If you remember, I said 520, 530, 520 or something. I trimmed it like 20% if I think about it. And I'm happy I did that. Now it's going down. And I did say I don't know where support is if it takes out this 495-ish zone. It went straight through that. I didn't care about that. So now I don't know where support is. It closed near low of day. It's a bit of a rogue one, so I'm not dying to get back in what I sold. I'm just going to let it play out. Honestly, it could even go down to low fours, 450 at least. I thought that's definitely possible now. Yeah, that's looking very likely 450 as the level, otherwise four. So 50-cent increments. Why not? That's what I was looking at on the way up. I'll just do that then. But I'm not looking, if it goes to four, I'll probably buy. But I mean, that's quite an ugly move. Basically 9% down, you know. And plus it's got that overhang of the Turkey landslide, you got Turkish elections, and you know, it's got extra variables that you don't need. So watching and observing, and if it gets really low, I'll probably buy. But those are the levels I'm watching for now. Right, Wheaton. One that I'm looking to add just because it's not worth as much as the seniors, and I think it deserves that respect, but given how high it is. And I also said that here, you know, it looks like it wants to go lower. Looks like a bit of a high is in. So I didn't add to it. I'm still not adding to it. I feel like 51, it depends. If sentiment in the market looks okay, if it looks like we're done with the drop, then I'll buy, but could get even lower. Wheaton, another 5% is possible. So I think Wheaton 51 or 50, then maybe buy there. It's still very high. But remember, we're in a new bull market now. So we're used to buying these drops and new lows. I think we need to get used to buying small dips because this could just be a small dip despite the aggressive nature of this first big drop. Next one is Franco-Nevada. Now, this one I did buy. Sorry, I did nibble Wheaton. What am I talking about? I did actually buy Wheaton. It's very, very small amount. I did. And I bought Franco Nevada. I should have waited maybe for Wheaton. Now that I'm looking at the chart, I just bought it like that because I locked in late. And I saw it was down 4 and a bit%. It was very small stuff. It was nibbles. It was like a couple of $100 actually. And what I really wanted to add was like 2,000. So it's like nibbles before I actually go in with a harder amount. Franco Nevada, same sort of thing. Small nibbles. I still think I can get much lower. It's just because these are my senior royalties, Franco Nevada and Wheaton, and I want them to be worth as much as these seniors, Newmont, Barrick, Agnico, and Pan America, that are worth basically 6K each, or now a bit less. And these guys were worth like four, you know. So I wanted like 50% added onto Wheaton and Franco. I wanted them all to be worth about six. Um, and I just started by nibbling, getting my feet wet. All right, Franco Nevada, no clear support. I nibbled again. It was out of the blue, just on general principle, just to get my feet wet. But I really think the core amount will start coming in here if we get there. This is a, yeah, 3, 4, 5%. That's doable. But look at that. How can you have Franco Nevada all the way down here? Basically, just one level above the lows that was it that we were trading at before the big move up. And this is Franco Nevada. This is not some trashy junior stock. So I'm pretty surprised how, and it was starting to get going. It's just lost momentum with the rest of the sector. Um, at the wrong time, he was actually outperforming the sector, and the sector just decided to get a bit weak. So I think it's just a victim of sector sentiment turning or exhausting a little bit short term. So I'm going to see if I can get one, let's say here, just low 114s maybe to add more. So Wheaton and Franco Nevada I added to. Metella I didn't add to because I added to it on one of these drops here. So I'm kind of not all in, but fully allocated. And it's still worth, look, it's where it was a few days ago. So I was happy then, I'm happy now. I mean, it could go down. This is the level I'm looking at, 280s, let's say, mid to high 280s. It could do that tomorrow if it was a really bad day. That should be support. If we go lower, that would be really surprising. Really surprising and really disappointing, but definitely possible. But I'm okay. I think even here, the value of the stock will be sufficient to not have to add. And there'll be other areas probably worth adding to, such as silver stocks. All right, First Majestic. Look at this. Opens below this level and hits this level here. So that was quite nice. Just a complete level done. Down 6%, over 6%. Next level is here. I think that makes sense. It's the low from this candle. And then you've got this level. Yeah, the levels I agree with. To be honest, all the levels I've drawn, I kind of agree with. One or two were ignored because of the violent move down, but otherwise, I think they've been pretty good. So, was today the one anomaly and we go back up? Probably not. Again, I think we need just a bit more of a flush out for a healthy retracement. So First Majestic could easily come back down here. So not touching that. It's also worth a decent amount in my portfolio, so I don't really need to add to it just yet. If it comes down here, I might. It really does depend where gold and silver are trading. So, I like the 3-day rule where you give at least 3 days to flush, even though I nibbled on some, but nibbling is part of the grand strategy too. But I'm in no hurry to start buying dips. I'm not going to call it a falling knife, but I think I'm in no hurry. Let's just give it 1 or 2 extra days at least. EXK, there you go. It hit the same lows of these days. So just before the gap fill, that is actually a zone. Don't know why I didn't see that before. Gap fill should be automatic like a magnet, especially if there's any downside tomorrow. 350 hasn't come down too much from its high, but okay, today was a bad day, 8%. That's gap fill. And then here, there should be very strong support. Very strong. Look at this ascending and horizontal intertwining. But that is quite far away from where we are. 15%. All right, let's see what happens. I don't see us going lower than this, actually. If we do, it would be here, 290 probably. But I won't bother adding any extra. So there you go. Those levels are okay. Oh, I'm missing the pattern here. Fortuna, sorry, I should have covered this. This one has not come down to, this one really performed, probably one of the best ones. It wasn't down much at all today. Actually, it was. Yeah, 4.5% is okay. I mean, given that silver was down pretty much 4% too, and this one's run up crazy. So this is still, I'm going to say, outperforming. Next stop is here. Yes, that's the low from here. It's also this resistance. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, it's coinciding with the ascending. So here you've got sort of strong support. 560, 550, you can say roughly. There's no one area, it's just like a rough zone. I'll say between 540 and 560. So let's say 550, something like this. Strong support. Otherwise, if you flush more, then obviously $5, big round number, and the high from here. And I don't see us going lower than that. Let's look at CDE. Well, that's okay, actually, CDE down 3.5%. That's the one I trimmed yesterday in fear of what just happened. Although this one didn't even lose its ascending, the irony. And also this one normally gets crushed when the silver stocks when silver gets down, gets hit, but because it goes up so much when silver goes up, but it didn't. So that's quite encouraging. It's still holding, actually. I'm not even going to bother looking at these horizontals, although they are already clear. Maybe one here at 440. But so far, the ascending's holding. So that one's still okay. Let me look at Heckler. I saw a comment that like I cover Heckler just after Coeur d'Alene. Well, looks like a lot of the other ones closed completely at low of day. Yeah, I see this area. Let me get rid of this. Don't need that at all. Yeah, I see that area there. I don't even need to highlight it, but you can see it's maybe here, 530. No, might be off by a little bit, but you can see why. Also here, bit of support, or is it there? Yeah, but the horizontal hits there. I'll say 521, right? Give or take 10 cents. 521 to 531, yeah. That's why I'd say, but that's so close to where we are anyway. How much of a drop to get there? 3-4%. Yeah, if you have a minor move down tomorrow, it could actually complete that and then off you bounce. But then you're in the ascending. You still actually haven't lost the ascending. But if you do, then, well, it might not go all the way down here. It could go there. Remember this gap fill here. And just to be sure, don't miss it by a few cents just to try and get the low. Normally I would say it's here, 463 board, if it's actually there, just because of these three candles here. That was the low of day for those three. So maybe it's 470s. You don't want to miss it. It's a bull market, so I'm going to leave it there. Nibble your way in if you really want this one. 521, 531, 521. Leave it. 501, little gap fill, big round number. Then it goes low, 474. That's one way to do it if you really love the stock. I like this stock. This is the one silver stock that I think I've never owned it, and I've always wanted it. And just by coincidence, I've never had it. And maybe this is an opportunity to get in finally. But I am already quite heavily allocated to this sector. So I fear getting too far, too fast and not waiting for the dip to play out. So I'm going to leave it for now. But let's see. That's the level I'm looking at anyway. Max Silver. Yeah, so this one I added to, believe it or not, even though it wasn't down too much. And even though I haven't loved the stock for a long time, it's just nice pump, pretty decent news recently. I've heard some good things about it. I think it's better than the company is better than the stock. There's a lot of companies like that, but the company I think is better than the stock. Moved up nicely, outperformed very recently, came down because of the sector. Basically hit this ascending. So I didn't actually buy the low of the ascending. I bought, I think it was 72, 73, not the low of day, but whatever, kind of near the low of day. And I just feel like the stock needs to go high, needs to catch up relative to others because it's a good company. I can delete some of these. So the ascending, that's been done. Next stop, yeah, is the yellow. So it's going to be 12, 20, 21, something like that. You can see why, I hope, sort of this zone. And if we lose that, I don't see 12 as a level. I've got 1150s. which could happen. Right, next, I am gold. This one has been weak ever since the bad news. This is weak. Yeah, even though I loved it down here, $3, it's given back a lot of it. It's okay, I'm fine with it. It's medium to long-term stuff. Dilution, I mean, who can predict that? Or maybe some analysts can, but I can't. So it comes down here. I bought this, bounce, bam. Now it's below my last buy. That's fine. So this is the level. You can see it was the ascending and the horizontal. We closed below it yesterday. So today on the big flush in the metals, down we go. No surprise. I don't see much support until here. Let's call it 351. You don't want to miss it. 351, 353, whatever. Just make sure you're in. Will I be buying 351? Nah, because I bought recently because it's just had bad news and because there are lots of stocks that are on sale, or not completely on sale. We're still really high up and it's only 5% drop. So I'm just going to be watching this one, watching the levels. If it really comes down too much relative to others, or I might buy it then. But for now, no plans to do so, just watching the levels. But I'm not going in the usual order here at all. Aris Mining, this one that had bad news and then surprised me by making new highs and now has had a bit of a drop. It's up in after hours, okay. Still hanging pretty high, actually. So, I mean, given this was the bad news day where it went all the way down to 390, we're pretty much trading like almost at where it was before the news was announced. So I might even sell more of this one. I don't know, but it's just very resilient, very strong, consistently strong, high lows for a long time, bad news, new high. Can't complain. Now, if we are looking at lower, I mean, the high levels, I can't believe I'm talking about resistance after a day like today. And after it looks like we may still go down a little bit more, but 480, in case you're wondering, the last high, 460 will be the next resistance. So those two, 460, 480. On the way down, it's going to be that post bad news low, let's call it 390, in case you want to get in. You don't want to leave your buy at 388, and then it goes to 391 and goes up without you. So I'm just going to call it 390. After that, I've got 370, probably because of this high here. Yes, after that, it's the old resistance of 350-ish, also support, and I think that'll do because we're not going to go lower than that, I don't think. B2 Gold, my newest entry that I went heavy. I bought initially at, well, I've forgotten, but I think it was like 270s and 280s. I'm in the red on this one, which I completely don't care about. Zoom out. Again, where it is now compared to where I bought it, zero difference. Even if you go down to 250, zero difference. And I think I'm fully allocated. Even if I go down to 250, the value of the stock won't have decreased enough for me to say, oh, I need to add to pump it back up. I think it's still going to be worth basically 3.5 to 4K. So it's fine. That's the value I attribute to it. That's how much I'm willing to risk, let's say. So levels, it's lost its level. Next level is 250. As I said, after that, it's the absolute low of 240. I mean, it's not ridiculous to talk about it because it's one level after the next level. And that's the COVID low / long-term ascending. So that should be really strong. Even if something bad happens in Mali, even if they nationalize the mine or just drop some mortar rounds on it, for example. So I think this is a safe zone to own the stock. And on the way up, resistance is just a descending, and after that, it's $3. So, but we did lose this mini sort of support at 270-ish. So I think we close at 270. Maybe if it closed at 269, I would have said it's definite, but let's see, benefit of the doubt. Maybe it can rebound and say that it didn't lose that support. I think it's 270 rather than 271 or 2. So there you go, 270, 250, 240, let's say. Equinox. This is one that I wanted to buy, but didn't buy. What did I buy? I've actually forgotten. Because this one I think is strong. I said it in the last video. I said it's strong, buy it around 520. Look, we touched 520, 521. I didn't have a buy good tilt cancel in because I don't have any good, I didn't expect a big flush today. I just don't have any good tilt cancel buys in. But even the sells, I think I got rid of them because I'm looking at the long-term plan here. And when you have all these sell orders in, it's so hard to read your portfolio sometimes. But that's fine. So this one did what I thought. It found good support at 520. I wish I'd left at least one small nibble buying because I still think this one is ready to be one of the strongest ones when we recover. And even on the way down, it's one of the strongest ones on the way down, like 3.5% down, whilst the others are down, 7, 8, 4, 6, 8. So it's one of the stronger ones. Yeah, I just feel like 520 remains a good buy, even just below, evidently, as today. And then when you move up, it'll move up fast, 590, and then up you go 650 plus. If we lose this $5, let's say $5, right? So 520, I think is support, and it was. But you've also got between 520 and 5, clearly, right? That's why I got that circle here from yesterday. If you close below 499, then we're talking about 460, but I don't see that as something to be considering today because I don't see it happening tomorrow. Now, if tomorrow we have a big down day, all right, I'll make a video and I'll cover it for the next day. But I don't see that as an imminent threat. Here, let me move Heckler up a little bit. All right, final stock for my portfolio. Yeah, this one I got wrong. But it's normal that this gets crushed on a day like today, where it wasn't just gold and silver, it was everything's reset, but it was across the board. Copper, I think even natural gas, oil. Wow, that should be good for miners though. Uranium also, not that that matters. Platinum, palladium also, that explains why. Okay, not so much palladium, but that explains why SPSW got smashed also. And a smash it was, gap down, closing the low of day, and pretty much hitting the low of this cycle exactly here at 450, 450. So 450 now we know is the level. After that, it's $4. After that, I haven't looked, but I have apparently made the observation. COVID low 350, and after that, $3. Very good. That's a simple 50-cent increments. That'll be easier for me later if we do make those lows. I don't have too much in this one. It's very high risk, so I didn't add. I'm not even sure I'll add here because if you have triple bottom, that'll look quite bearish. I probably won't even add down here. Right, that'll do. That was my portfolio plus Heckler covered. I went in a different order. I hope that doesn't matter. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it will continue. I have the feeling we may have another 1 or 2 days. We need gold and silver to find their lows. And remember, this happened with the dollar and yields not being strong. Yields actually going down, which should normally help gold, and the dollar having a weak bounce. So this was just gold and silver having a bad day, irrespective, sorry, to whatever dollar yields market is doing. It just needed to go down. Down it went. And you can tell it was a weak day because the miners underperformed the metals and the silver underperformed gold. So it was a very bearish day. And maybe there's a bit more continuation. So be careful out there. Maybe do what I did, which is just nibble. Because sometimes you have this itchy finger, you just want to pull the trigger. Well, okay, put it lightly. At least you can please yourself that way. But I still think it's better to be a bit more cautious. We've had a hell of a run and it makes sense. And this is healthy. It's annoying, but it's healthy. And that's why it's also wise to nibble out on the way up because of days like these. I should have done that myself. I should have done more of that myself. But it's normal that I regret it on a big down day. All right, that'll do. Good luck to all of us tomorrow.